Oregon Democrats. We are deeply saddened to learn of the homicide that took place outside our building yesterday. While the location of this tragedy may have been unintentional, we encourage anyone with any information to share it with the appropriate authorities. Oh, well, maybe that's partly why they vandalized this building. We'll see. But that's what Antifa is saying do not do. They also tweeted, "We join the mourners in their sadness and anger at this senseless event." And someone is what did I say? If you remember, folks, this was February 1st in Berkeley. This is something that was spray painted on a wall during a live stream. I think it was from BuzzFeed. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, make sure you send this photo to any people who call themselves liberal who support Antifa. Show them this is what Antifa thinks about you. And since we are here, we might as well have a preview of what we can expect later on in this video.
And the building where the SUV was found crashed, the Democratic Party of Oregon.
It's sad whoever this might happen to, and obviously we're all sharing the same concerns.
He also put caution tape along the street, giving mourners extra space and safety.
Mourners.
So here's that building, and now it's not chalk anymore, but, you know.
Mourners.
Isn't that just special? So, okay, you're getting this, Democrats? They are not on your side. I mean, your Joe Bidens and etc. may support Antifa by name. You have your Keith Ellison, etc. You have all these other people in the Democrat Party who are supporting Antifa, but this is what they think about you. Oh, and by the way, let's go back to that tweet by the Oregon Democrats, because after they tweeted what we just read, a Mike Slotsbill says, "So you are unequivocally showing your support for the terrorist group Antifa? Quote, he was involved in progressive causes and deeply committed, and it makes it all the more sad and concerning," unquote. Yeah, that's not the way that you should be talking about people who belong to terrorist groups. Mayor Ted Wheeler, October 12th, 5:30 p.m. tweeted this. Quote, "This is alarming and heartbreaking. Our deepest sympathies go out to family and friends of the victim," unquote. Now, he's a mayor. Of course, he shouldn't really be saying anything all that bad because a person did die. He's supposed to be mayoral, you know. However, it's a terrorist organization. And you know, responded, "Many citizens in Portland have been killed or victimized in other brutal ways, but never received personal condolences from you. How come? Healer here was a militant and violent far-left activist." And what did Andy Ngo say there that is not factually correct? October 12th, 5:42 p.m., Joey Gibson posted this to Facebook with photos from the Rod of Iron Freedom Festival in Pennsylvania. Now, I mention this because some have suggested that Patriot Prayer may be responsible for Sean's death. Patriot Prayer is Joey Gibson and only Joey Gibson, and you can see him in these photos, one of which shows the banner at the event with him on the stage. Let's have a look at this article. Portland activist killed after SUV collision near Cider Riot, from Portland Mercury. That is Cider Riot, by the way, folks, and you may remember that from some familiar scenes earlier this year. I think it was March, for example. And, you know, other videos and other scenes and other incidents. Now, according to this article, it was apparently the Multnomah County medical examiner performed the autopsy on the victim and determined the manner of death was a homicide and the cause was blunt force trauma, according to the Portland Police Bureau, according to Portland Mercury. Okay, now pay close attention to this one. This is Rose City Antifa, you know, Portland Antifa. "Our hearts go out to the friends and family members affected by the death of Sean Keeler. Our sources indicate that this was not related to fascist activity." And I'm emphasizing this because we'll see people saying, yeah, it was Nazis, you know, mostly in German, but there you go. If you are struggling with this news, we would encourage contacting Lines of Life at 800-273-8255. And then we have this below, and I'm not sure, but is that Airliner World and More? It seems to be a new account with not a lot on it, but he responds, "Wait, what? No, we need to blame this on the fascists. Like everything else, this is a great opportunity." If you don't get it, folks, he's trolling. Rose City Antifa also tweeted this: "We want to remind our community that the police in the state are unreliable in times of crisis, both in their responses and information they share." And then someone responds, never trust law enforcement and never call them. Well, it may be that kind of attitude that got that guy killed. And then that same guy, Marcus Green, maybe Airliner World and More, I'm not familiar enough with his face, I can't say, but he responds with, Portland police, you hear that? That's right, don't even try to do your jobs. And then someone said something to him, and that tweet is no longer available, and he responds with, that's mean, I'm telling. Oh, crap. We have this tweet here by a Karma161. Don't understand that reference, do you folks? Crime Stoppers, I got $1,000 wired to the person who IDs the person who killed Sean D. Keeler upon arrest. No questions, no caveats. Someone says, I'll double that. Alright folks, I want to show you this post by Joey Gibson on the 12th, 8:33 p.m. He shared a link to an article about it saying that it happened. And then I want to show you how in the comments section, just as examples here, there are a lot of people who I've never seen before, and, you know, a lot of people are two people who I speak with quite often when I'm not zucked. But here, Jen Lowe, my colleague over at Lincoln Free Press, says, I don't care if this kid was with Antifa or their leader. It's always very horrible to lose a loved one. My prayers for him and his family. May he rest in peace. He's gone too soon, and that's really sad. All the speculation from some of these journalists is being done irresponsibly. And so this is one of those people who, even though she's not white, is called a white supremacist and blah, 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 blah. Russell Schultz, Joey Gibson's friend, I have a theory. Someone in the SUV drove by to troll, was spotted, words exchanged. SUV went to leave. The idiot kid ran out into the street to block the path. The SUV continued to roll, pushing the idiot kid. Then shots fired from the bar area. SUV smashed the gas to get away, running over the idiot kid. Based on all the info I've gathered, that's a most likely chain of events. Hopefully they find and capture the 3 men that fled the vehicle. Jen Lowe asks, how do you know it was 3 men? Russell responds, reports. Speculation is Proud Boys. I'm not buying that though. Jen Lowe, yeah, I doubt that. Russell, the shots were fired on the same block as the bar. The SUV crashed away and around the block, away from the shooters. Explains why SUV occupants were able to get away, most likely by heading north through a neighborhood. And he adds, someone takes a shit in the street and Antifa blames the Proud Boys. Just learned RCA tweets that, quote, fascists not involved. RCA is Rose City Antifa. Jen, yeah, I saw that. There, we already read that, so we're going to skip past that. Russell, my guess is Antifa know exactly who was in the SUV. I'll also go to bet that they refuse to inform police so as they can retaliate, since that is what street gangs do. And then a Ron Wampler, whoever that is, says, or maybe it was a power struggle. Commies are known for that. 6:40 p.m. Russell Schultz. Late model Ford Explorer, allegedly the vehicle driven and occupied by 3 African Americans who attended a reggae concert hosted by Antifa at Cider Riot. Sorry about the cock crowing, it's about to be dawn over here. Allegedly, the deceased and his Antifa friends got in a dispute with the victims while leaving the establishment, where the deceased ran out into the middle of the street to block their vehicle from departing the area. Then, allegedly, Antifa militants opened fire on the vehicle. Whereas the vehicle driver tries to flee, the gunfire runs over the now deceased, like running over a speed bump, not a collision as told by the lack of collision evidence on the vehicle. However, the vehicle did collide, though, or if it's the same vehicle they found on the scene, it collided with a small tree and even took the tree out. The car loses control a block away and crashes into a tree. The driver fights to reverse the car and takes off again with broken steering components. Veers off the road, almost hitting the Democrat Party building. The occupants, fearing for their lives as other Antifa members are still chasing after them, abandon the vehicle and run off to the north into a neighborhood. The injured person, having been run over by the car, still out front of the bar, laying on the concrete, his friends trying to help him, when someone from the bar tells him that they cannot call an ambulance because another strike against the bar will shut it down. So they convince his friends to pick him up and make him walk. to another vehicle for a ride to the ER. And indeed, the homeless man did say that they were saying, walk.
Meantime, Sean was in bad shape, his friends trying to get him to the hospital.
He was lifeless when his friends were You know, it was difficult for them. They were trying to get, you know, vocally just walk, man, walk, damn it, and trying to get him to get up.
The office is
I just heard the skin like that real quick, and then guy says, hey man, it's gonna be worse. You want some more? And told him to get back in his car. He was shot. There's 4 shots, at least 3 or 4.
Daryl Perez says he heard the tragic series of events from his tent.
I heard cars roaring. I heard arguing. I heard a little bit of slapping around, and then telling the guy to go home. And just multiple voices, probably about 4 or 5.
Daryl says he heard something that sounded like a collision, arguing, and gunfire.
With a gun, just pow, 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 pow.
Daryl came out of his tent and saw that an SUV had taken out a tree and was stuck.
Big boom, collision, and then he backed up and did it again. And he hit a tree over there, and it did something to his transmission. He was stuck there, revving it, trying to get unstuck.
All the while, the kid is bleeding internally, and movement/support made it worse. Had they waited for an ambulance, they could have stabilized him and given him treatment enough to give trauma doctors a chance to save his life. So yeah, it's basically what we were saying earlier. Sharp guy, this Russell, I gotta say. By the way, Russell, thanks for sending me that thing. I can't answer you back because I'm, suspended from Facebook. But I can read what you sent me. Russell continues, so in conclusion of this alleged scenario, Cider Riot would be fully responsible for this person's death and to any gunfire injuries to the occupants of the SUV. Also, the now deceased friends have collusioned in an illegal act of denying first aid to a victim and wholly contributing to his death by not calling adequate first responders. That is all. That's what you were saying, Tabby. Yes. So when asked what his sources are, Russell says a collection of news reports, witness statements, social media posts by witnesses. And indeed, folks, if you're paying attention, it corroborates with all the other stuff we've been going through so far. Here's a tweet by American Sharp, and if you don't know, Sharps are skinheads against racial prejudice.
It's just 'cause she's so stupid. K like the KKK. I because you're an idiot. H is 'cause we hate you each and every day. A 'cause you're an asshole. D disappear and go away.
They've been around for quite a while.
S is 'cause we're so sorry that K, you're a knucklehead. I is for isocracy. It's not really cool. H is 'cause we're still hoping each and every day that A, together we can create anarchy to destroy the state.
Our hearts go out to a fallen friend and their family. Rest in peace. This is a tragic loss that makes no sense. Our sources also indicate that this was not fascist or politically motivated, but a senseless act of violence. Our hearts go out to all affected. Rest in peace. You will be missed. Again, another Antifa saying not fascists. And by fascists, they don't mean fascists. But, the people they call fascists, apparently they don't think they were involved. Same day, 11:43 p.m. This by Gregory Robert McKelvey, the extortionist and, sexual assaulter, kidnapper, etc. And he's responding to the mayor. Instead of deepest sympathies, please consider firing Todd Emstrom, whom you employ that punched Sean in the face. Also, please consider firing Mark Kruger, who Sean protested and whom you also employ and is an actual Nazi. Thanks. So, rather than just express remorse, he's like, hey, this is an opportunity to get a jab at the mayor. Haha. I've expressed more sympathy for the guy than Gregory Robert McKelvey has. Jesus. And 11:44 p.m. An Antifa militant died in mysterious circumstances involving gunfire and a car crash. Ted Wheeler, media, and Antifa groups are honoring Sean Keeleher, aka Arminio Lewis, as some sort of social justice peacemaker. I knew him for threatening journalists, and I emphasize those words because apparently Andy No should now be beaten up for stating an obvious fact. An obvious fact, by the way, an obvious fact. Here we go.
Hey, don't mess with me. I'm a big boy. I'm a...
Do you know where your mommy is?
And I'm a big man. And don't mess with me. I'll break your camera. I'm the real Slim Shady. I'm gangsta, y'all. Don't mess with me, homeboy. I'm tough. I'm hard.
Does your mommy know you're out here?
I'm a big boy. I'm even a man. I'm a big man. I'm a tough guy. I'm not just some mama's boy who believes in everything that my mom believes politically. Well, I do. But, I'm independent. I go outside without my mommy. I'm allowed to walk all the way around the block.
Then we have this tweet right here by Andino. When I was on my first assignment for student paper at Portland State in spring 2016, I recorded Sean Keeliher, who was not a student, arrive with a group of outsiders to shut down a pro-Trump student group meeting. Keeliher jumped on the table to try and fight a student who was filming. We have this by The Guardian. We have this by The Oregonian/Oregon Live. We have this by American Thinker, which speculates on something that others aren't speculating, at least not out loud. At least as likely is the possibility of an internecine warfare among the Antifas themselves. Keeliher, the victim, was identified as an anarchist, not the same as a communist or other hard leftist, and leftist groups are well known for their enforcement of political correctness, purges, and, quote, struggle sessions, unquote, among themselves. They're actually famous for their internecine internal warfare. Could it have been that? Seems like another possibility. Meanwhile, a vehicle hit is a typical gang activity and yes, normally targeted at a leader, which Keeliher was. So a sort of picture is emerging there on that front too. Now, I gotta say something here. I don't know if you folks noticed, but notice that Luis Marquez, a very high profile person who does fight with other people in amongst the Portland Antifa circles because he's very hard to tolerate. He wants to be the face of Portland Antifa. Did you notice his girlfriend didn't really, it's just a smile that she was trying to hide there? Let's look at that again. I am not seeing any sort of morbid look on her. There's no shock and sadness or anything like that. That's just what I'm seeing, alright? So to back up a bit so that I'm not starting in the middle of a sentence. Meanwhile, a vehicular hit is a typical gang activity and yes, normally targeted at a leader, which Keeliher was, so a sort of picture is emerging there on that front too. Keeliher had a stage name, Armenio, which gang members have too, and they all like to wear masks. It just raises the question as to whether Antifa has entered a new sort of stage in its development, pure gangsterism coming out of its nasty politics and is now emerging as a full-blown criminal gang or mafia, fighting amongst its own, if not right-wing gangs for supreme power. We have seen cases where drug dealers have moved from mere crime to a will to political power, as in the case of Pablo Escobar in the late 1980s and early 1990s in Colombia. We have also seen cases where the opposite has happened. In Colombia again, where communists such as FARC, F-A-R-C, descended from a communist terrorist will to power into pure drug gang activity. It happens as secretive groups develop their shtick. It leaves open the possibility that Antifa is following a sort of FARC-style gang thuggery pattern, and if so, it's hard not to think drug sales might be involved, as was the case with FARC. What's Portland's drug situation? Pretty bad. The Department of Justice says the black and Hispanic gangs control the wholesale market, but the whites, and Antifa is pretty white, control mid-level and retail pot sales. There's no evidence at this point Antifa is trafficking drugs, but they do seem to be acting suspiciously like a gang, so maybe that's something to watch out for. It's a tenuous speculation to be sure, but it's hard to think all of this nasty stuff that's coming up with Antifa's name on it is all just random. Editor's note, this piece originally stated that concealed carry was outlawed in Portland, which is not the case. AT regrets the error. Another tweet by Gregory Robert McKelvey. By the way, I forgot to mention, Gregory Robert McKelvey also fashions himself to be a Portland leader. I do know that he and Luis Marquez were side by side in the past. I don't know anymore, but I do not know about the relationship or lack thereof between Gregory Robert McKelvey and Sean Keeliher. However, he apparently was at the memorial, as you can see with this tweet right here. at the memorial. Rest in peace, Armenio. October 13th, 12:28 a.m., Luis Marquez tweeted this, which expresses anger at what Andy No tweeted while including a video that shows that Andy No is right. You can see Luis Marquez wrote, "This is why Andy got wrecked, and he deserved it." Okay, and that's the video that we watched earlier that demonstrates that Andy No is correct. Oh, okay. Wow. October 13th, 1:12 a.m., Carpe Noctem. In Portland wird ein Antifaschist mit einem SUV getötet. Alles tötet. Der sieht auf einen gesamten Angriff auf Antifas und damit auf Rechtsterrorismus. Laut passt auf euch auf der Straßen. Nazis morden. Und derben Sprachen. Noch ist wenig geschürt und das Grabische als kein Fastnamen oder Identification über maglich Motiv lasst sich Tauschschlag der Seite nichts sagen. Die und right toll. Frauen sich so oder so. Translation: in Portland, an anti-fascist was killed with an SUV. Everything is currently pointing to a targeted attack on Antifas and thus right-wing terrorism. Guys, take care of yourselves out there, murdering Nazis. They're assuming that, there can't be any infighting or any other, say, random person out there who may have done this. Nope, it's gotta be the Nazis. Do they cite any sources, give any reasoning? No, apparently that's just how they think over there in Germany. Translation: there is still little assurance and there have been no arrests or identifications so far. There is currently nothing to say about possible motives. The alt-right trolls are happy either way. The alt-right troll Frauen sich so oder so. It's going down. It's one of those Antifa propaganda outlets. 10:37 p.m., October 12th. A 23-year-old anarchist, Sean Armenio Killed, was killed after a vehicle struck them in Portland. Our hearts go out to Sean's friends and family. A memorial has been erected on Northeast 9th Avenue and Davis Street. Shane Burley, 3:20 a.m., October 13th. Andy No has taken it upon himself to publicly drag the person, my friend, who was murdered in a hit and run last night. He has threads with people celebrating Sean's murder. In other words, he's responsible for what other people comment on his threads. The suggestion seems to be that he had it coming. No is a monster. Okay, again, folks, the only thing No did was point out or just state the obvious fact that he was not peaceful. And he's now deserving of being hit or whatever because other people commented stuff. Yeah. Whew. These people are so mad and insane. 4:15 a.m., October 13th. Antifa Pinneberg, I guess. In Portland, Oregon, USA. Oh, okay, this is in German. Ist letzte nach der 23 Jahre alte Antifaschist und Anarchist Armenio Killed gezählt mit einem Fahrzeug ermordet worden. Unsere Gedanken und Herzen sind bei seiner Familie und Freunden. By the way, I know I'm not pronouncing all those words correctly, but anyway, the translation is: in Portland, Oregon, USA last night, 23-year-old anti-fascist and anarchist Sean Armenio Killed was deliberately murdered with a vehicle. Our thoughts and hearts are with his friends and family. So that one didn't say it was Nazis, but they said it was on purpose. And how they know this? Whatever. Here's another one in German. Heute wurde der 24 Jahre alte Antifaschist Killed vor dem linken Treffpunkt seiner Reihe von Nazis getötet. Wir sind voller Wut und Borstelzang und Stora Sada della Litigiert und den Genosse und Angehörigen. Translated into English, that tweet says, today 23-year-old anarchist Sean D. Killed was in Portland was killed by Nazis in front of the left-wing hangout side right. We are full of anger and consternation. Our solidarity applies to all comrades and relatives. So again, they said Nazis did it without actually knowing who did it. 9:37 a.m., October 13th. Andy No, the Portland Antifa militant killed in unclear circumstances, gained a reputation for threatening journalists. Again, these are facts. Still, Ted Wheeler, the mayor of Portland, and others have ignored this. He threatened violence against myself and a former colleague when we were in student media. Let's have a look at this tweet by a Brian. October 13th, 9:42 a.m. It is a screenshot of Andy No saying to someone at some point, 2 people are dead and you use the occasion to troll. What's wrong with you? And the suggestion here is, oh, Andy No is being a hypocrite. Well, Andy No is not gloating. You morons. Have you no sense of scale? Apparently not. Because apparently words are violence, and then, words are just as bad as being hit over the head with a biclock to these freaking maniacs. These goddamn maniacs. Luis Marquez, 1:37 p.m., October 13th. I will miss you forever. Okay, so he is expressing sympathy or sadness. And Luis Marquez, by the way, he has 2 Twitter accounts. Luis Marquez also tweeted, 8:43 a.m. on October 13th, Andy will never be able to openly cover big events again. He is not a reporter. Keep in mind that, as we reported at the time, Lewis and other Antifa gloated about the death of patriot and citizen video journalist Leo Stratton. Rest in peace, Leo Stratton. See our video, Police Investigate Antifa's Involvement in Leo's Death, as they celebrate and gloat about it. Here's an example of Luis Marquez gloating about Leo Stratton's death. If you don't know, Leo Stratton died while driving a semi that apparently caught on fire after he collided, I think, with a stone wall on the side of the highway or a cliff, I believe, maybe. And you see all these tweets right here, folks? Yeah, that's all examples of Luis Marquez celebrating, or trying to joke about, not very successfully, or otherwise gloating over the death of another human being. And that's okay with him, but stating obvious facts about the deceased in this case is apparently worthy of getting Andy No beat up yet again. Wonderful. You know what, folks? Let's look at least some of these tweets by Lewis, and here we go. We have this one right here. Watch out for truck driving Leos. I guess that was supposed to be funny or something. We have this. What an interesting read and perspective. It's an article, and this, I think, is an actual photo of Stratton's truck, because I remember that from news articles. We have this right here where he's claiming that Leo Stratton's, he's a known Klansman, or he's organizing with a known Klansman, and it's another one of those turtles all the way down, in other words, what holds up the earth? A turtle. Oh, okay, but what holds that up? Another turtle. Okay, well, what holds that up? Another turtle. In other words, he's a Nazi. Well, why do you say that? Because he knows so-and-so is a Nazi. Okay, why do you say that? Because he knows so-and-so who is a Nazi. Okay, why do you say that? Because he knows, You get the idea. Good night, all right. I guess that's supposed to be funny. There is Leo Stratton himself, and it says, I am the opposite of alive, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I guess that's, witty. Leo is what happens when Jesus takes the wheel. Okay, now that one at least is witty. It's not funny because of the circumstances, but it would be. I mean, moderately funny. And notice there's some infighting right here from a comrade goddess. My buddies have told you multiple times to shut your rat mouth. You keep giving information about us on the left to cops. No one wants you around. Don't know if that's true or not, but there you go. You have betrayed us on the left. I know everything. Ask your ex-girlfriend. She told me what you did to her. Now I'm going to steal your girl. And let us, real communists, what they mean to write, do our job, stay the fuck away. And you are going to get your fucking teeth knocked in, and that would be your stinky pussy. Take a shower. They're responding to something that is no longer there. Lewis says, no, it's your upper lip. Comrade Goddess says, nope, I don't have a problem with my lips. You all can go suck a dick. I'll do this on my own. I don't need any of y'all's help. No more. Wow, you all weren't at all what I thought Antifa was. And Lewis responds with LOL, a bit homophobic. Then we have this. Jake Lasky in jail. Leo Stratton is dead. What a great day. God loves leftists. You mean leftists. And you have these here. We've seen those, but not this one. Jesus took the wheel literally. Again, that would be funny, so I'll give him credit for that, but the rest of it is just crap like this. That's funny. Leo Stratton's last selfie. Well, I guess that would be funny. I don't know. But the rest of those are dismal attempts at humor. It's just, wow. I mean, I guess the further left you go, the less sense of humor you. And, you know, the same thing applies for the far right. I've gotten into arguments with far right people online, and when it gets time for me to just make fun of them and savage them, I'm kind of disappointed at their lack of ability to come back with something funny and witty back. I mean, it's just, you lose your sense of humor when you go to the extremes, I guess. I don't know. Let's just freaking move on. Here's another tweet in German where they say that it's Nazis. Right here, Nazis toten, you know, Nazis killed. Nazis killed 23-year-old Sean Kyler. You know, you get the idea by now, don't you? Back to Shane Burley again. This is a tweet from October 13th, 12:05 p.m. Just so people are aware, these are the type of messages I am getting right now about my dead friend, the Andy No effect. And we can see right here, this is from a Nick Gurr. I have information concerning the death of Sean Kyler. He responded, what information? And then the reply comes, what do you get when you crossed an illegal alien with a car? A dead anarchist. And then a picture of the Joker from the newest movie laughing his ass off. And apparently this is Andy No's fault. I don't know how he puts those two together, but apparently that's Andy No's fault that this guy made that, you know, message to this guy. Wow. Warped. These people are warped. I'm talking about both parties, both the person who sent that message and the guy who received it. They're both warped. October 13th, 3:33 p.m., Patriot Prayer, that is, Joey Gibson made this public post to Facebook. Now, we did see this before. Joey Gibson sometimes posts the same thing as himself and then as Patriot Prayer. But let's go down here to where he says, folks, let's all keep in mind that while we may take issue with this young man's actions, we should never celebrate loss of life. No life is beyond redemption. Let's keep our high road and show the love of God to our neighbors. Now, I'm pointing this out, amongst other reasons, because Luis Marquez thinks he's so superior morally to Joey Gibson, that Joey Gibson is just this low-down scumbag and blah, 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 blah. Okay, Joey Gibson doesn't engage in violence. Luis Marquez does. Luis Marquez gloats about, celebrates, and makes fun of the death of people. Joey Gibson does the opposite. You tell me who has the moral high ground there. Carmen Estelle, Joey Gibson's friend, comments violence is never the right answer. Hopefully this will bring pause to those who believe it is. Not exactly gloating, is that, folks? Now let's scroll down to comments from... They were there. Yeah.
A few minutes later.
Did she delete her comments? Well, folks, it's a good thing I transcribed it at least, or copied and pasted into this webpage, and there you go. I mean, it's another reason to be sure that you are tuned in to our webpage. Quote, so to all of you on here passing judgment, I have disagreed with many of you, but this is my son. He was murdered. It is a homicide investigation. I do not know who or whom, but please show some respect. He was my son, and he is dead. I'm being hounded by media. I have read some of the most disgusting comments about my son. He is gone. Please stop. And indeed, there were some very judgmental, harsh comments on there, so that's true, but then again, anyone could say anything on anyone's post, so as long as it's public, and none of the people making disgusting comments are people that are familiar to me. And, you know, I know a lot of these people around Joey Gibson, etc. These are just, as far as we're concerned, random people. Well, beep, that's the end of this one, folks. We gotta end this here. It's going on too long, okay? So look forward to the next part of the next video and blah, 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 blah. Subscribe to us, give us money, see the links below. You know how it goes. Bye.